Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. With me is the MATT. He also riding with us tonight. Our guest, he is an American professional and former amateur wrestler. He has been in the WWE, ROH. He was in the PWI ranked in 2003 with Shelton Benjamin. Welcome to our show tonight, Charlie Haas. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing very good. And actually, in 2003, we were Tag Team of the Year by PWI.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to doing this. I haven't done one in a while, so got a lot to catch up on.
Yes. So, of course, probably the first question everybody asks you: how old were you when you first started liking wrestling?
Pro wrestling, man, I was probably. I can tell you the first thing I saw on pro that got me hooked on it, and that was Ray the Crippler Stevens and Lou Albano confronting Jimmy Superfly Snuka because he refused the help of Lou Albano's services, decided to go with Buddy Rogers, and they beat him up with his beads and that he had his headband beads, and then they threw him out onto the cement and they pile drove him not once but twice, and blood was everywhere, and they were putting the black X up on. And that was right when cable just started taking off. So I want to say like 1983, maybe 82. But that's what got me hooked. And the next week I turned back to WWF, and it was that's when Pedro Morales was the IC champ, and they had Chief J and Jules Strongbow. They were the tag champs, and they were going against Saito and Fuji or the Wild Samoans, and then bring in Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson. And so I was a big fan of that. And then, like I said, cable took off. And then at 6:05 to 8:05 on WTBS, Gordon Soley was, I got hooked on watching wrestling, that. And I think that turned out to be my favorite part of wrestling because I found it just seemed more personable when you had the Four Horsemen and they were working. And I always tell this to the students now, it's like, when you're working these small indies, you should go back and watch WTBS, because when you're working a TV studio and you have 30 or 40 people in there and your work has to look so good and good, so it can't be see-through, like it has to look real. And I go, not only that, but you got to be able to talk the talk, because watch that. You had the Four Horsemen, Dusty Rhodes and so on, and these people would wrestle live on TV in front of 40, 50 people. But then, down at the Omni, they're putting butts in seats and they're selling out 15 to 20,000, seats, So that's why I think I really, really got into wrestling, watching, the different styles, different, I was growing up in Oklahoma, so I was lucky to see that. And then I was also, world-class championship wrestling, Mid-South, Georgia championship wrestling, USWA. So I was fortunate to see a lot of that.
Awesome, Matt.
Kind of to go along with that, when did you decide this is what I want to do? Like, at what age did you say this is where I'm going to be when I'm as a career? Like,
oh man, when I saw that, I swear to God, when I saw that on TV the first time, Snuka getting beat up, I got hooked. I'd always wanted to be a pro wrestler. That's all. What do you want to do? Be a pro wrestler, And I mean, that's all I wanted to do. My mom was like, "No, you're going to go to college. You're going to, you're going to be smarter than that." And so we were living in Virginia at the time, and then my dad got transferred to Oklahoma, and so when I was in 6th, 7th grade, we moved to Oklahoma, and I saw wrestling. I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm going I'm going to be a pro wrestler." So I get there and I walk in for the tryouts, and it's a wrestling mat. I'm like, "What the hell? Where's the ring?" I had no idea that there was amateur wrestling. I never was, I was never introduced to it. And as soon as as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is not what I want to do. But, because I was playing soccer at the time and football, I said, okay, well, let's try it. And I got hooked onto that. I just got hooked to amateur wrestling, the one-on-one. And I got more hooked when I was watching, when I heard about Jack and Jerry Briscoe. They're from Oklahoma. Then they were, Florida Championship Wrestling, these great amateur wrestlers that became pro wrestlers. So was like, well, all right, well, I'm going to do this and end up becoming a pro wrestler, following those footsteps, So, and I got turned on with the varsity club, when they had, then the Steiners, and Mike Rotundo, they paved the way, and Dr. Death Steve Williams. So I was really, and I remember going to watch Dr. Death Steve Williams wrestle for OU, and they wrestled the Soviet Union, and he wrestled for for the USA, Team USA, and so I mean I always knew that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was going to do. But I did tell my mom I would go to college first, and I ended up getting a scholarship to Seton Hall University to wrestle, and All American, and then and then I went on to be I worked for Goldman Sachs until I ended up working making it to WWE with my brother. So
yeah. So how soon in your career because you spent some time in the independent scene, how soon did you draw interest from WWF or WCW?
Man, it was probably we were on the Indies for about 5 years. I mean,
okay.
So I mean, Russ and I we were Seton Hall's in North New Jersey, South Orange, and then we were working out at Iron Mike Sharp's School of Wrestling down in Asbury Park, and that's who broke us in and trained us, started us. We bounced around on the Indies, but I mean, we paved the way for a lot of for tag team wrestling to what you see today a lot. What people don't know is like my brother and I my brother was the gymnast, the aerialist. Like he could do, and he was as big as I was. Like, but he could do backflips and standing backflips and off the top ropes and flips over the top rope. And I was like the ground and pound, kind of like a version that you see what Shelton and I would do.
Yeah.
And it was my brother and I, and we were 2 years difference. And we bounced around. I think we started with Jersey. Jersey All Pro gave us our first break. And Jersey All Pro was dominant on the East Coast for a long time. And then we held the titles for Jersey All Pro and CZW. So we were part of CZW. One of their legacies. And then we were up in the big Northeast Championship Wrestling. And then we got, and this was all before Ring of Honor started,
Right.
A lot of the guys that were in CZW and Jersey All Pro, we got signed before Ring of Honor took off. And a lot of those guys went and started, like, Danny Moff and Low Key and the SATs. And, these are guys that we all broke in together with. And, the Hit Squad. And then, of course, my brother and I, we ended up with Jim Kettner at ECWA. And he's the one that really polished us up. And that's when we got a call from Kevin Kelly saying, hey, look, they just signed Kurt Angle. They were looking, and then they heard that there was an amateur brother tag team out there on the Indies. And Kevin Kelly goes, hey, we'd like to take a look at you, but I want to see what you guys can do first. Can you go to report to Jim Kettner down at ECWM and have him polish you up and train you? So, yeah, why not? He's in Delaware. We're in New Jersey. So, I mean, we would go down like 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, I was driving from New York City, working at Goldman Sachs, all the way down, work out to like 10 or 11, drive back, go to work. I mean, we did this for about a year. And while we're doing that, we were breaking in the Briscoe brothers, and you can go on YouTube and watch Haas brothers versus Briscoe brothers. And I mean, they were like 16, 17 at the time. And we just signed with WWE. So we're getting ready to, to go to the developmental. It was kind of passing of the torch. And, yeah, so I mean, we had a big part in, people never got to hear of the Haas brothers as much because my brother passed away, before we debuted from TV on WWE. But we had a big part in the Indies on the East Coast as a tag team wrestling. What you see now, the guys are phenomenal, probably better athletes, better than me, not better than my brother, but I mean, but we paved the way, and it was, and I'm glad to see a lot of people, making it now. So. But that's how we got started at WWE. It was about 5 years into it, and we gave it about a 5-year mark. And I said, you know what, Russ, if it's not working, we're done. And the next thing I know, man, it's like WWE called, or WWF at the time, Kevin Kelly, and then we got put in with, like I said, with Kettner, got polished up. We went up and did our first dark match was in Madison Square Garden, and then the next day they're like, hey, can you guys drive to Pittsburgh, and do dark matches there. And we're like, yeah, sure. Because they just started like Raw and SmackDown. And we're like, yeah, no problem. And we get there, we had our dark match. And then they're like, hey, Jim, it was Bruce Pritchard goes, hey, Jim Ross needs to see you guys in his office right after the show. So we're like, man, we're in trouble. Like we thought we were like, hey, thanks, we're not interested. We went in there and they offered us developmental contracts right away.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
it was really good. It was in Team Angle. They said, here's what we're going to do. And Team Angle was, it was, and Kurt will tell you, and he's said this before. Team Angle was for Russ and I and him and Shelton. It's supposed to be for us four. So it didn't work out that way. God had other plans for my brother, and I could ask for a better partner, a best friend, Shelton Benjamin, and and it worked out. And Team Angle was still, lived on. So
Awesome.
My question is actually directly in 2002 when you got that phone call, hey, you're coming up.
Right.
Like, and when they explain to you what you're going to be doing, you get to work with Kurt Angle, who's one of the bigger stars at the time. Like, how'd that conversation go? And like, what was running through your mind at that point?
Well, like I said, the story goes, it was a year before that, before my brother died. They were told that's what they were going to do. They brought us in. They said, you guys, we're going to be, they brought us and the Island Boys up, which at the time was Umaga and Matty, Rosie, which is Roman Reigns' brother. And they were another dominant tag team that was in the developmental system with Russ and I. And so they brought us both up and they said, hey, here's what's going to happen. Haas brothers, you're going to go with Kurt Angle. We're going to start Team Angle. They're going to add Shelton Benjamin. Island Boys, you're going to end up going with Rikishi, and start that, a three-way or, a threesome, a faction that way. And actually, they ended up becoming 3-minute warning. Russ died right after that. I mean, right after they probably about 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, he passed away. And then, so it was a year. They started. They closed down Cincinnati, HWA, and I got a phone call. And John Laurinaitis goes, "I need you to go to Louisville to OVW." I go, "Okay," and I thought I was getting fired because they hired the Haas brothers, not Charlie Haas. And next thing I know, he's like, "Can you be there by tomorrow?" I was like, "Absolutely." Packed my stuff up and got down there. I wanted to leave Cincinnati anyways. I was after Russ. That's when Russ died, and I got down there. And Jim Cornette and and Danny Davis went to bat for me and fought, and they said we can do something with them. And Jimmy, Lamb worked with me, Danny worked with me, everyone down at OVW, and I was doing a show, and Jim Ross came in to watch. I think we just moved into the new Danny Davis Arena. It was a big show. I was wrestling Chris Nowinski, who was on TV, from Harvard. I wrestled him, and then I came back, and JR goes. And Shelton was there. He was finishing off his time in OVW, and he was being brought up to TV, and he was battling Red Dog, Jazz's husband. So they were a tag team so they had their big their one off. It was a dog collar match, and Shelton was standing next to me. And we were just talking, and Jared goes, "You guys think you could tag and work with Kurt?" And Shelton's like, "Absolutely." I was like, you damn right. He goes, "Okay, I'm gonna have you guys work with Arn Anderson." So for a year, we were working for Arn Anderson. We were doing dark matches, and we were up doing dark matches, and we were working, with Arn before the match, before the house, and even on the house shows, working with Funaki and Tajiri, and it was a really fun time. Arn taught us a lot. We worked with a lot of other tag teams that that had dark matches, never made it, but worked with a lot like Christopher Daniels. And we worked with Joey Matthews, Christian York, that were a good tag team. But it was a really it was Arn and then Jerry Briscoe came in there too and worked with us. And him and Arn would be in the ring. He was showing us how he wanted us to work, and Jerry would add things. So you're looking at two of the greatest technicians, greatest minds in tag team wrestling, and Jerry Briscoe and Arn Anderson, and they're putting their stamp of approval on Shelton and I. And it was about a year, and then once Arn told Vince they're ready, that's when we got the call, and that's when we came up. So they wanted to make sure we were ready, because the first match on TV was against Benoit and Edge.
Yeah.
And that was like, it was sink or swim. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to work you in. This is what's going to happen. So we got thrown right in. And then the Guerreros, and we learned a lot from Eddie and Chavo. So much to where, I learned how to, when they say, "Oh, I caught out in the ring," like, people really don't understand what that means. Like, everyone says they caught out in the ring. Not that many people can do it. Like, I can do it, and it's a lot because of them. And the reason being is, Eddie taught us. Eddie was one of the greatest that could read the crowd, and he taught that to Chavo, and you could tell where the crowd's going and what you have to do to get them to change or to be good, to cheer for you. And like the first time we started with Eddie and Chavo, Shelton, we just started Team Angle. We went to the live event, the spot show, to work Eddie and Chavo, and they were coming from the other show or WCW. I forget how it went, and they're like, "Okay, Eddie, Chavo." I'm like, Dean Malenko was running the spot show, and I go, "Hey, where's Eddie and Chavo?" And he's like, "They're on the other side of the arena getting dressed." I go, "Well, when are we going to meet with them and talk to them about what's going on?" He goes, "You're not." He goes, "They're going to walk in from another entrance. You're going to walk in from another, and you guys are going to call it in the ring." So that went on for about 6 months before we debuted our feud on TV, and there was a lot of growing pains, but I mean, that's the best way to learn. I mean, the first time I met Eddie, I locked up with him. He goes, I was like, "Hey, Eddie." Charlie Haas goes, "Shut the fuck up and listen." I was like, "All right." So, and I mean, let me tell you that, and him and Chavo, I mean, it was great. We worked. I mean, Shelton and I learned a lot, and like I said, it was a lot of growing pains. But once we got relaxed and it worked, dude, it just worked. It clicked, and I think that helped Shelton and I out a lot.
So you mentioned the Briscoes. All right, those boys were crazy. When I got here lately, they've been crazy, and until the brother died. But they're still crazy individuals. Were they that crazy back in the day?
No, they were. I mean, you guys have to go to YouTube. I think when they're talking about crazy, I mean, Kevin Kelly came up with the whole idea, and so Jim Kettner. But go back and watch the YouTube video. It's we did a show at their high school, and they were in high school. And Mark and Jay, I think they're like a year apart, maybe 2 years, like Russ and I were. And so we're wrestling the Briscoes. And this is what we were doing was we were building for the big show that Jim Kent was putting on the Bob Carpenter Center, which was at University of Delaware. This is where, this is where WWE does house shows, So, man, so we were building to that. So what we did is we were at their, and this is all on YouTube. You got to watch, type in like Briscoe Brothers versus Haas Brothers. So we knocked them out, and the dad comes in. And he starts like double clotheslining us and giving us football tackles. And finally, I stop him, and Russ gets on him, and we handcuff him to the ropes. And so here comes the mom. The mom comes in, and she slaps me, and I grab her, and I put her in this amateur hold called the spladle. And Russ goes up to the top rope and drops an elbow right on her in her like stomach basket area. And so it's kind of like we were doing this before the Dudleys were doing their headbutt to the growing area. So we created this. It's an amateur. It's a painful hold, and then which you can actually pin people in amateur wrestling with it. And Russ comes off the elbow. Well, no one smartened up their family or the school, and people went nuts. They were jumping over you got to see this. Kevin Kelly starts hitting people with chairs, like he's really throwing stuff at them. It was a riot that we started at their high school. They packed 3 full buses of kids and parents, and they showed up at the Bob Carpenter Center. We sold up. So this is an independent show. We had over 1,500 people at the Bob Carpenter. It was awesome, and that was the big blow off match. It was the last match, and then Russ and I went out to WWE. But and that was so that was like one of the Briscoes, like the first time they were wrestled, and you know what? So we kind of like passed the torches, but they then full circle come Ring of Honor. Shelton and I, and now here's my other brother Shelton, and I get to wrestle. Not only the Haas brothers got to wrestle, Mark and Jay. But now the world's greatest tag team gets to wrestle, one of the greatest tag teams ever, the Briscoe brothers. So, it was, it was full circle. I was honored to wrestle them at both times in their career, at the beginning and then when they're on top. And, they're really good, down-to-earth people. When you mean crazy, I mean, no, I think they were normal wrestlers that when they went out in the ring, they did everything they could to please the crowd, But, I mean, these are guys that are family men, man. They weren't, they had kids, and I knew them when they were boys, and now they were grown men. They were dads, and and when I heard when he died, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart because they knew Russ and I, and they were really close to us. And when Russ died, I know it broke them, and because we just signed with WWE, and for me to see it, it's goes full circle, man. It goes full circle.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
No, you talked about Eddie and Chavo. Everyone's dream as a wrestling fan and performers is to perform at WrestleMania.
Correct.
What was it like at WrestleMania 19? Like, what was if you want to tell the story about like that night, just how everything was and that match in general.
So let me go back to like WrestleMania 18. So we're WrestleMania 18 in Houston at the Astrodome, and Russ and I know where we're going. A year from now, we would be at WrestleMania, for the Team Angle thing. But like I said, he passed. So we're at 18. Hold on, wait. WrestleMania 17 was at the Astrodome. 18 was in Toronto. Russ died in 2001 in December. I blew my knee out, so I couldn't wrestle till July of 2002. And then Shelton and I started going for a year, and then it was December 2003 that we debuted. But so let's see. We go to WrestleMania 19. I remember 2 years ago, Russ and I are sitting on the floor of the Astrodome with Kevin Kelly. Kevin goes, "This is going to be you guys. You guys, Team Angle. This is how long it was being planned out, and you guys are going to be here. You guys are going to be one of the greatest tag teams ever." Well, unfortunately, Russ passed. So when we worked our way into that position to perform and to find out that we're not only wrestling Eddie and Chavo, but Rhino and Chris Benoit at Safeco Field, and from to come to find out where most people think this is one of the greatest WrestleManias ever, because of the way the card was positioned and who was on it. I was honored to be a part of it, for them to consider it. But I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just one of the best times of our lives. I was able to honor my brother. It was a dream that we always wanted to do, but we never got to do it. But he was still with me. That's why I always wrote his name on my wrist tape. And I remember walking back. Shelton's like, turn around. He goes, "Slow down, because we may never get this again. Let's just remember this." Fortunately, we were able to wrestle in WrestleMania 22 in New York. But yeah, WrestleMania 19. I mean, like I said, WWE. My hat's off to them for giving us the opportunity, and for us, to go over and to hold on and retain the titles. I thought that was pretty cool. So
you talk about the veterans of the business and all the vets in the back. And what is it? Is there any specific vets that you worked with that you're glad that you worked with? And how important it is for you guys to soak in the knowledge and just keep your mouth shut and listen to what they have to say?
Well, I mean, here's the deal. It's like, so I'm not only doing that, but it's not only the ones I'm working with, but it's the ones like the agents. So I grew up watching the territories, and I saw, like, growing up, becoming a fan, like, of Vince coming in and buying all the all the different territories and putting WWF in those time spots, those time slots. So I was like, I was a fan too when I'm like watching Roddy Piper beat up, all over the and I collected all the magazines, and I'm like, Roddy Piper loses 75% of his hearing, may never be able to wrestle again, because of Buzz Sawyer, and then the next week he's Piper's Pit on WWF, and I'm like, wait, hold on, man, he just wrestled for the U.S. title, and he can't hear. I go, so I didn't even know what was going on. So I was a fan, like, wait, that's bullshit, man. He's over. What's he doing here? So I was, they got me. I'll tell you that, it swerved me. I had no idea that it was like that, the territories, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought, I followed the magazines, and you had your different champions, but now Piper, he's not deaf, so I guess his stuff, they didn't even mention his loss of hearing on WWF. So, but to be honest with you, I was very fortunate to work with, like, and here I'm gonna throw out the names, like, as agents, Mike Rotundo, Varsity Club, national champion at Syracuse, Ricky Steamboat, one of the greatest baby faces of all times. I'd mimic my arm drag off him, the cartwheel, the one-handed cartwheel arm drag. And Steve Kern, he was an anchor, a pillar down here in Florida Championship Wrestling. And he's the one that taught me. He said, let your eyes tell the story and let your face form around your eyes. Don't try to make your face tell the story, because it doesn't look good. Let your eyes tell the story and your face will form around it. It's more natural that way. Arn Anderson, it's like unbelievable. Dusty Rhodes is there. Got to work with him. Dean Malenko, Finley. Dave Taylor, Regal. Then when I got to wrestle, like Regal, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, wrestled Hulk Hogan in Madison Square Garden. We got to work Kurt, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero. I didn't have a great singles career like I wanted to. I had a great tag team career. I did, and I with my brother and with Shelton, even with Rico winning another title with him, Viscera. But I have to tell you that to be able to wrestle all those greats that I mentioned, I was very fortunate, and I learned a lot, man. And I had a good, 2000 I signed with WWE, till 2012, a good 12-year run, and and I learned a lot working with all this, Bob Holly, Billy Gunn, just unbelievable, like one of the best ever. I've learned so much from him. Bob Holly, learned a lot from him. Rikishi, another one, I learned so much from him, Umaga and I were best friends. He's my Uso, my brother. And all the pop-up Samoan and the ass to face, running. I was the practice dummy for all that down in Memphis Championship Wrestling. That's where we first met when we both signed with WWE. And we went on from that to to HWA. And then they got called up as 3-minute warning, and then I went down to OVW, working with the Bashams, Nick Densmore, Chris Canyon. I mentioned Dave Taylor. Fit Finley taught me so much. Arn, Arn, just the best. Ric Flair, he's like Shawn Michaels. You guys were just caught in the ring. The thing is, you knew at that level that, there's different people you could work stiff with, people that you couldn't. And you knew you better make it look good, and you better not hurt them, because these guys are on top. And if you do, because they're probably never going to let you, they'll never work with you again, or you can get fired. So that's what you really had to work. So, to work where I knew the guys I could work stiff with, like Bob Holly and Juan, they're the guys where I had to make it look so real, but I couldn't even touch them. So, and that's because as they get older, you're trying to, you want to have a longer career, so you're trying to save your body.
Awesome.
So and then also to move on. I worked for All Japan. I worked for New Japan. Been able to work with Tanahashi. I had the IWGP title. I was the first American in 50 years to wrestle him for the IWGP title on the United States in New York. Jersey All Pro put that together,
Wow.
So and he liked to work it stiff. He wanted to work the American style, so that's what we did. And it's Muda, got to work with him. I got to work with a lot of the famous Akebono, like all these great Japanese wrestlers, in Mexico, as well. Rey Mysterio, one of my best friends. I loved working with him, along with Eddie and Chavo, and Billy Kidman. Dude, he was phenomenal. Paul, Spanky, Paul. Collier, not Paul Collier. Rene Dupree. Rob Conway. Like I said, it was just the Bashams. It was a really great time.
So you just listed all just a who's who of professional wrestling in that time. Is there anybody that you didn't get a chance to work with that you really wish you would have been able to?
Undertaker. We were on the Rock. I never got to work against The Rock. The Rock was on his way out, and we were on some cards with him, and we were on the cards with Stone Cold. Like I said, WrestleMania 19, they were on there. But like I said, I got to work Hogan, got to wrestle in the Cow Palace, got to wrestle Ric Flair, two of the icons. I never got a chance. I worked Kane, which was great. I never got a chance to work Undertaker. That's someone I would love to have worked. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, another one I was able to work with. So but I would, that's one of them. It would definitely be like The Rock, Stone Cold, and to go on and to, like I said, the Undertaker. And the guys that are on top of WWE now, I never worked Roman Reigns, but I worked his brother. We missed that. Joe, I missed that. We missed that opportunity. Shelton and I helped break in the Usos, and they talk about that in that video. Booker T, I got to work with him. He taught me a lot. He helped, revamp my career. Who's who? I've wrestled and been there in the ring with them, and I have a lot of knowledge because I absorbed everything and what works for me and what doesn't, but how to pass that on. And one thing, Chris Jericho, there's another one I never got to work. I would have loved to work him. I never got a chance to work him, and we knew each other But like the Hardys we worked, I couldn't be more grateful. Another thing, Shelton and I never worked the Dudleys. I wish the guy would have loved to. Now Rico and I worked the Dudleys, but Shelton and I never got a chance to work the Dudleys. So I would have loved an opportunity to have the world's greatest versus the Dudleys. It would have been great.
So you mentioned Hulk Hogan. So I got this thing here, a picture.
Was it Hulk Haas? Yeah, man.
What's your take on that part of your career?
Well, there's two things. Either I think WWE wanted to find a way to get me out, so they're like, let's just throw this gimmick on him. Johnny Ace came up with the gimmick, but you know what? I said, I'm not going to go out and embarrass myself. I'm going to do the best I can to honor these icons. I mean, I worked at Kane overseas as fucking Hulk Haas, or Haas Hogan it was called, and I worked him, and he was laughing the whole time we're wrestling. It's like, this is great.
Yeah.
I dropped him with the big boot. I fucking started hulking up. I turned around, he sat up. So I mean, it was great. We had a good time. All the way to like dressing up as Beth Phoenix. The Haas is on, Glamour Haas.
Yes.
To Brett the Hitman Haas, to Stone Cold. But my favorite was CHL when I confronted JBL, and I got out of the trunk of the limousine. And I kept pulling out Mama Jawama. He'd slap it out, and I pulled out again. And it's just like, next time I want you to break him. I want him to laugh. So, and then, CHP, MVP, Charlito, the great Charlie. And so I had a good little run, and I was honored to, and I wanted, nothing but to honor these guys. And there was not to make fun of anybody. So,
right. Yeah.
I mean,
and also I got to put in there, JR, who's done a lot in this business. He's the ones that recruited and signed Russ and I. So JR, Jim Ross, is he has a lot to do with my career as well too. I don't give him enough credit. I should, but he was a lot. He's the one who put Shelton and I together too. So thank you, Jim. So
there's a question from our chat that kind of makes a little bit of sense. They want to know, speaking of Shelton Benjamin, with his recent release, is it possible that we could see a return of the world's greatest tag team?
Man, that's a great question. Here's the deal. I mean, anything's possible, I guess. I'm in the best shape of my life right now. I'm working out every day. I just came off a really bad back injury where it wasn't a back injury. I had osteomyelitis, so I had a staph infection in my spine, and I was in the hospital for 4 months. They gave me a 40% chance to live because they didn't know. I knew my back was hurting for a while, but until I couldn't move, and I got into the hospital. They did the MRI. They're like, you got to stay in you're going to have to stay in what's it called, a sanitized area. It has to be, where, there's no chance of getting the infection to spread. So they had to put a PICC line into my arm. So I had it here, and it went right to my heart, and they had to do 3 infusions a day of Amcef, which is a very strong antibiotic. And so I had to do that, for about 4 months, and it killed the infection. They cleared me to start working out, but then I went to work out, and I'm like, man, I couldn't even lay on the bench without, I was in so much pain. So I went back to an MRI, and they're like, the infection's gone. You just have a lot of swelling at those 3 vertebrae, which was T11, T12, and L1. And I'm like, okay. They're like, why don't we just get you to I didn't even know they had this, like, physical therapists that just stretch you, like professional stretchers. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, sure. That helped a lot. And I just started lifting probably about a month ago, and I'm up to 230 pounds right now. Because I mean, I was sick. I was down like 200 pounds, but now I'm back up to 230. I'm in the Florida area. I'm running on the beach every day, getting the 92 Hogan tan. So working on that.
There you go.
I didn't even know there was such a phrase until, my buddy Aaron Presley, who you guys know, he told me, he's like, yeah, man, he goes, 92 Hogan, baby, you got to work on that. So that was the darkest tan I guess Hogan had in 92. So, but to answer the question, I don't know. It's if someone, it's up to Shelton. It'd be if it fits my schedule, fits his schedule, dude. I would love nothing more to tag with him, to have one more run, to show up, somewhere, wherever that would be, whether it's, like AEW, Impact. I mean, just even if it's just like not like just to want to confront a tag team. There's a lot of great tag teams out there. There are a lot of great tag teams. I would love for us to see us wrestle the Young Bucks. I would love to see us wrestle FTR. I mean, there's so many good tag teams. Rhino and oh man, I'm trying to think. Are the Dudleys in Impact right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is Devon there?
Devon showed up.
I don't know if he's wrestling though. So
no, he showed up last pay-per-view with the Ray.
Okay. So I mean, I would love to do something with the Dudleys. Like I said, we never wrestled them before, or whatever we could do health wise. I mean, like I said, like we're a lot older than we were, so but like Shelton always says, you're not as good as you once were, but you're good once as you always are. So
that's right.
We'll see. So I really that's a great question. I would love to do it. If not, at least do a seminar for tag teams with Shelton and I to show up. That's something that's never been done. Everyone does like seminars, but a tag team seminar, I would love to do a tag team seminar with Shelton. I mean, we could actually work with these up and coming tag teams or get hired on as tag team specialists to work with all the tag teams at AEW, at Ring of Honor, at Impact, at down there at NWA, and go so on. I think PCW Ultra's got a great future. There's a lot of good. There's a lot MLW. There's a lot of great wrestling. So
now you mentioned Aaron Presley, so I'm going to take a moment right now and thank Aaron Presley for hooking us up. I took a chance and I emailed 360 Pro Wrestling, and Aaron responded, and we're going to be doing more with you guys at 360 Pro. So I'm super excited about that, and so I wanted to tell him.
He's got a great promotion, man. I'm glad you guys, definitely work with him, man. He's a great asset. Man, he's man. What did you know? Yeah, he ran a 4.240 in high school. Man, he had a full ride to Miami. Yeah, he's man. He rode bulls. I mean, anybody that ride, I put amateur wrestlers are crazy or really good athletes, but I've gone to these rodeos with him. Man, bull riders, man, there's nothing like that. I mean, you have to be, just insane. You got to be a hell of an athlete. And I'll tell you what's the better athlete than the bull rider is the bull. Man, but I mean, they're true athletes. They are true athletes. So, but Aaron's a great guy. You're going to love 360 Pro. So I hope it all works out for you guys. He's a great guy, man. I love him. His fiance, great people.
So you're working the independent scene. So if there's one thing that you could compare the independents to the bigs, what would it be? What would it be in comparison?
All right. So here's what I mentioned it earlier. If you're working in indie and this is how I this all, it's funny, like 15, 20 years later, this clicks. So my sons, Russ and Chuck, they're 13 and 11. They got about 10 pro wrestling matches under their belt, but they also are great amateur wrestlers. My son Russ was ranked number 1 in the country at one time. He's 13. I mean, so he's moved up, and so is my son Chuck. But I started training them, and I got to give this to off. I got another great that really has been very influential is Kevin Sullivan. Very influential in my career and teaching me how to book, on how to work more, because he was taught by the great Eddie Graham. So Eddie Graham taught him everything, and he passed a lot of knowledge on to me. But he saw my kids wrestling in the ring, and he's like, "Are those yours?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Charlie, they're naturals." I go, "What do you mean?" And they're doing moves I never taught them. They just watch off TV, but their timing was so good. And you can go to YouTube and watch Chuck Haas versus Russ Haas. They did a hair for hair match too last summer at Aaron's 360 Pro. So Chuck Lawson had to get his head shaved. But so they're working all aspects of wrestling. But anyways, so we're driving home, and Chuck goes, "Hey, Dad, is wrestling real?" I go, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "Because I can punch better than half the guys on the roster." And I'm like, I go, "You know what? If a 10 to 15-year-old kid thinks that and they believe that, then you got to have a talk with the promoter." And I was like, "You know what? You're right, man." So I talked to the promoter. I said, here's the problem. You want to know why we're not drawing or doing anything? I go, you got to look at who you're bringing in. I go, you're wrestling. Okay. Say you're wrestling at a VFW or, any type of small venue, okay, for an indie, okay, a bar, a grill, whatever. I've even had to wrestle at gas stations. But if you're doing this and you got about 100 people and they don't believe it's real, then you know what? If the kids don't believe it's real, the parents aren't going to come back, and they're not going to bring them back. So I would tell people on the indies, I go, this is how it works with the bigs. I go back and watch a lot of these new kids. They only watch. Well, yeah, I saw the DX era all the way up. Like, they don't go back and research the territories, and they don't do their homework. And I tell them, watch WTBS, watch the Four Horsemen. What they did in the ring, they told you they were going to do in the interview prior to that. Then they went in the ring and did it, and they came back and then they told you what they were going to do the next tag team, or the next opponent. I go, their work looked believable. Like Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard looked believable. The Road Warriors, it looked believable. I remember when the Russians came, Nikolai Volkov, Nikita Koloff, Crusher Khrushchev. I was like, and this was right at the height of the Cold War, and I'm like, man, the Russians are going to take over pro wrestling. It's like everything looked believable,
Yeah.
So I go, what you need to do is if you're working in front of 100 people, instead of throwing these crappy punches, I go, you got to have one good punch, or bring them down right in front of the crowd. And this is what I do. And I love, and this is what, I can pass this on because I learned it's not about the move set. It's about the work between the moves. And that's what makes you great. And that's what makes the crowd, whether hate you or love you. Another thing is what I would tell kids to do is, and that relates to that, is like, if you're going to be a heel, be a heel. We don't need any cool hills. There was only one cool hill in the whole business, and that was Razor Ramon. That's it. So we don't need any. We need just a heel that's like an Arn Anderson that says they're going to beat your ass. They're going to beat your ass. If they're going to, it doesn't matter if as long as you don't bury the ref and the ref doesn't see it, you can cheat your ass off. And if I'm going to break a leg, I'm going to break a leg. I'm going to make it look as real as possible. I'm going to take him down in front of the fans, and I'm going to punch him right in his mouth. Or I'm going to drop him over the rail, and I'm going to tell the fans, I go, keep cheering for him. It's going to get worse. Like, I want them to hate me so much that. And I got to the point where old ladies are punching me. I'm getting hot dogs thrown at me. I'm getting popcorn like that. And I'm like, man, I don't have to kill myself. And that's what hurt me in WWE is when my tag team run was done. I'm trying to figure out who Charlie Haas was. I'm trying to create a moveset, what my finish is, all this. And Arn Anderson said, Charlie, when you quit worrying about your moveset and just worry about the work between your leg, the work between your moves and just how to work, you're going to be just fine. Well, he was right. It's just 10 years too late, but no, it makes 100. Makes 100. It's 100% correct. I mean, he's 100% right. It just, you just got to work. It's like, okay, that's why I call a lot of it out in the ring. And I tell the kids, they're like, well, what are we gonna do? Here's all these moves. I'm like, just tell me what you do, and I'll figure out when to put it in. Well, how? Well, it's easy. I got to tell when, I got to listen to the crowd. If they're coming down, if they're booing us, if they're cheering for you, as a heel, you never want to give the fans what they want. You never want to, ever. You want to take it from them. They think it's coming, and you take it from them. And that's the key to being a good heel. And my hat's off to Arn Anderson. He's the one that taught us that. So, but that's what I would tell you, people. Learn your craft on the indies. I go, there's so many places to showcase your craft on TV or on internet TV. There's so many places to wrestle that you can. It's like the territories today now. You can learn the different styles. That Ring of Honor style, that strong style, that Lucha Libre style. There's WWE style, AEW. I mean, there's so much there is. So. It's just great, man. I love it, and man, I love to pass on the knowledge like this.
So we have a guest on the chat. He's from the Christian Wrestling Federation over in Texas. He says, yep. I really wish more younger talent would adhere to this advice. Less is more. Stop trying to do all your favorite moves in every match.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Christian Wrestling Federation. I went in there. And helped out about a month ago. I wish I'd been back, but I'm in Florida now. So, but dude, let me tell you something. That is a first-class organization. They've been running around. I think it's the longest indie running in Texas right now.
20 years.
Yeah. And, I've been invited to do it before, and I'll be honest, the reason why I never did it is because I was scared to learn. I didn't really understood how a Christian Wrestling Federation work. You know, you have your heels and your faces, and I didn't know how to do your testimony, and I was scared. I was scared of it, you know. But once I never got to wrestle for them. I would love to, but I mean, we're a first-class organization. The facility is unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. It's like walking right back into like the Danny Davis Arena, or you're walking right into like a WTBS. I mean, or, you know, Mid-South, back in the territory days. I mean, it's great. And they do a great show too. And they also take it on the road. So they go to different churches, and they got a lot of spot shows. But no, you know, I really wish young talent, man, that, you know, and here's the problem is a lot of the tag teams today, I'm going to pick on the tag teams, you know, heels, you got 5 seconds. And so, and babyface as well. You have 5 seconds to make the tag, to be in and out of the ring. You guys bury the ref when you guys sit there and you got to get your double team moves in. It's not that hard. I mean, first, as a heel tag team, really shouldn't be, okay, let me back up. As a heel tag team, you guys, let me ask you guys this. Name the greatest tag teams in your time. Like, who you thought your greatest tag teams were ever?
My greatest tag. Go ahead, Matt.
It's LOD.
Okay. All right. What about you?
Back in the day, I liked the Bushwhackers. I love them.
Okay. Yeah, they were great. The New Zealand sheep herders. All right. So mine was Arn and Tully. I can't tell you one double team move that they did, like one double team finish move they did. I mean, they had the spike pile driver, but seriously, but they were the best tag team. Why? Because they did everything behind the ref's back. They bent the rules. They'd go to 4 or 5, but they were in and out of the ring. You know, they would, when the ref wasn't looking, they'd do the illegal switch. You know, that's what's missing today, man. And that is what is missing. It's like you got all these everyone wants to do these cool move sets. Yeah, you guys are athletic. You do great. But you know what? I challenge someone to be different. You know, Shelton and I could come in, work anybody right now, have the crowd off their seats when we work as heels. Because you know why? You know, I mean, here's the biggest deal. We told everyone we're the world's greatest tag team. We never fucking wrestled when we did. We just cheated. You know? So, and then and everyone's like, well, you guys said that you guys wrestle, so why aren't you wrestling? You know? I mean, yeah, you guys have the credentials. You guys are all Americans and all that at these D1 colleges, but you don't wrestle. So, I mean, it's like I said, you don't give the fans what they want, you know? It's, and that's, you know, that's the way I look at it. So, I mean, I would love to work with these tag teams today. I would love to work with them and just, you know, just show them, like, and a lot of them are so talented. Some of them have figured it out and they know it. But still, you know, I just think that, you know, you can't bury the ref. That's the key. I see a lot of things. I see the ref gets buried all the time. He sees illegal tags. He lets it goes on. He lets you know, he sees they let him go past 5. You know, he sees them hit him with something cheap. I mean, you got to protect the ref, man. If you don't protect the ref, then you're throwing the match away. That's the most important thing. I mean, and tag team wrestling's hard. The psychology is hard, you know, because you have 5 people in there. So, and you got to make sure that tag team is as good as the you know, the babyface tag team works as good as the heel tag team, but you have to be all on the same page. Then you got to have a referee that you don't bury that can, you know, that can manage that match. So, you know, there's a lot. People forget how important the referee is, and that's a big thing that people don't. They bury the ref. I'm like, no, man. You know, if I was a promoter, I would, you know, every match has a story, and that's the way the story should be told. But not only that, but every card tells a story. I would, you know, the first match is that, you know, okay, man, you guys are up first. Just get the crowd off, babyface over, get the crowd up off their feet. Let's just get them going. I don't want to see 30 minutes of every move that you guys know. I don't want to see it. You know, I don't want to see a punch thrown until after intermission. I want to see holds. I want to see something different. I don't want to see the same body part work 2 matches in a row. I don't want to see the same finishes, the same cutoff spot. You know, I want to see something different. And, you know, and the promoter needs to go and set that straight. It's okay. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. You know, and but you just got, you know, you're learning how to work, you know, and then you eventually you'll get to the big leagues, but you don't need to go off and do every move set. I mean, you're showing me your athleticism. I want to see the work in between that athleticism.
Yeah. Thank you for that information, huh? Matt?
So,
you said that you were an Uber fan, like you were just in love with the business growing up.
Uber? You mean like a Lyft, like a driving, like an Uber? No.
You were just enamored with it. You love the business.
Right.
Are you still a fan now? And what promotions do you pay the most attention to? If you still
I'm a big fan. Dude, I love pro wrestling. I think, and I'll say whatever. I think it's a great sport. I think I consider it as a sport. You have to be in great shape. You have to be working out all year round because let's face it, when you get hurt, there's someone's going to there to fill your spot. And then once you got to be able to tell stories. You got to be able to work psychology, and you need to wrestle different opponents, different sizes, different shapes. You need to wrestle a Jacob Fatu, a Sam Stackhouse. You want to wrestle two different athletes. You want to wrestle the giants, people that are overset, like a Big Cass. You got to learn to if I'm wrestling Big Cass, what am I doing? I'm going after his legs. Because that's what I'm doing. Jack Stain, big guy, man. You got to go after him. Red Dog, Roddy Mack. You got to go out. You got to take it to the ground with those guys. These guys, they're bigger upper body, they're strong. But you're the same size on the ground. But you got to work body parts. You got to capitalize on their weakness. You got to do your homework. But I really believe that today's a great time to be a wrestler. It's a great time to be a fan. There's so many great promotions out there. Impact, NWA with Billy Corgan, AEW, WWE, of course. It's just MLW, like I said, PCW Ultra. There's some great stuff out there. There's some great athletes all over. And what I do is I encourage, you get in All Japan, New Japan, NOAH, Mexico. I encourage everybody to, some people are happy and they're like, Texas is a big state. There's only so many promotions, but you see the same people wrestle you see the same main event that I saw the Indy last week down the street. Now I go 2 hours later and I'm seeing the same main event again. I challenge all these athletes to market yourself, to get out of your state and to go to all these different territories. Keep knocking on the door. Let them see you. Do your dark matches. Be an extra. Do whatever you can. Me and my brother, we were getting beat up by the APA in the bars and, and stuff like that,
Damn.
So, and then we went on, and here's another, John Bradshaw and Ron Simmons. Hat goes off to them. John taught us a lot, man. And so did Ron Simmons. To work legends like that, Hall of Famers, I was very blessed. So, yeah.
I got to meet those guys last year, right there. Yeah. They signed my niece drew that for me, actually.
Oh, cool, man! Very cool. I see you have a Michigan flag too. Are you a Steiner guy?
I'm a Steiner guy.
But you're from Detroit too. Yeah, no, you're right. That's right.
There you go. True. That's right. No, but back to CWF. I do cover those every Monday. The last 2 months, CWF and we've connected, and it's been a blessing and a half. So, great people.
Oh, dude, tremendous people, tremendous.
Good. So, is there one? Because I know that we're running short on time. Is there any road trip story that sticks out in your head that? Oh, yeah, I got to tell this one.
Yeah, but a lot of them are probably I can't. Yeah, there's a lot. And like I said, I was able to travel with I'll tell you, like the crew I always travel with would be like Randy or Shelton, Johnny the Bull, Rey Mysterio, Rikishi, Big Show. Like these are guys we all there's some great stories, but I just you can't break that code, and some of the.
That's fair.
But I'll tell you what, there's some great stories. Here's the story. This is a true story. So we were Russ and I were on the way to the bar and we were riding with Dr. Tom Pritchard, and another guy that's really helped me with my career. He's another one that taught me so much. So he was in one of the agents, and we were riding with him to a bar to film the APA beat our asses, in the spar scene. So because they were working to wrestle Christian and Edge. And so this is like one of the extras that we did. So Russ and I are in there, and we're driving, and JBL, and this is in New York City, we're in Long Island actually, going to a bar, and JBL and Ron Simmons are in the car behind us, And so Russ and I are in the back with Dr. Tom's car, and man, they keep rear-ending us. I mean, dude, like we come to a stop sign, bam, and they keep and they are. I mean, dude, they knocked the bumper off the car. And Tom gets out and he goes, "What the fuck, John?" John's like, don't worry about it. I'm sure you got insurance. Just tell the rental car place, it's no big deal. He goes, "No, asshole, this is my real car." So, because Tom was living in Connecticut at the time, and this is out in Long Island, and so they thought it was a rental. So they're like, "Well, he's got the insurance, so we'll just keep hitting him." And man, it was his real car. John had to pay for it and fix it.
Nice.
So we had to take the bumper and put it in the car and drive it to the bar. Yeah, it was pretty. But that's one of the stories being introduced to the APA. So,
Matt?
I don't have anything left on my notes. If you have any,
I'm long-winded, so I could probably go on for hours. But no, I mean, there's so many. Like my career has gone on for so long that I'm looking forward. Let's talk amateur wrestling. My nephew Michael Delegado is at University of Cornell. He was a New Jersey State champ. He's there. They're redshirting him this year, gray shirting him. His brother Rocco, my other nephew, my sister's kids, he is like the number 4, number 3 heavyweight in the country. Wow. And he's a junior, but he just committed to Cornell. And Cornell took 3rd in the country last year at the Nationals behind Penn State and Iowa. So, so we're looking. I'm looking forward to them. I know WWE's been in contact with them for NIL contracts, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And maybe you're going to see not only that, but the Haas brothers, my kids, in there sooner or later. Which they, by the way, the rate they're going, that we'll see what happens. But so I'm looking forward to seeing if my nephews want to do it. To be trained right, they're going to be great amateur wrestlers, national champs. Individual and as a team, I can see that. But my career's gone so long that I've been fortunate to wrestle with people that I watched growing up from the territories. Got to work with them individually as agent, wrestler, able to pass on knowledge, able to like I said, I'm in the Florida area, so if there's any independents or I hate using the word independent, if there's any promotions out there that would want to do a seminar or would love for to do like one-on-one training or coaching, come in and coach or help critique, I would love to help out, give you my knowledge that was passed down to me from the greats that helped pave the way, from a Shawn Michaels to an Arn Anderson to Dusty Rhodes to Dustin Rhodes to to Cody to all the greats, Ricky Steamboat, Briscoe, JR, and so on, JBL, So, but I would love to do anything to help to pass it, to pay it forward. So if I could do that, and also to come in and work for you guys, to work a match too, because I believe that if you're going to talk and coach, you better be able to back it up. So if I can still do that and teach them, it'll be, a lot can happen.
I know I follow an indie promotion here in Panama City called XIW, Extreme Impact Wrestling, with Adrian Whisper. Adrian Whisper is the promoter, and Jackson Slade and Damian Wayne have all been there. And I'll mention Adrian to get a hold of you. That'd be
well, you got my contact information. Please give that to him. If anyone sees this, let you reach out to you guys. You guys are more than welcome to give him my contact information. Gangrel's another one. I never got to work with him in the ring, but we worked on a lot of shows together. I know he's got a school down here. I think he's is he in Miami area?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so he's not far from where I'm at all.
How was it working with Vince? Or Vince?
Man, I thought it was great. Like I said, this guy has changed the face of wrestling. He wrote the book. The history, changed the history of it. From the territories, had a dream. Taking it from making it. He bought the business from his dad for $1 million and sold it for like $11 billion. So it's a pretty good, business mind. I know one thing. He reads a lot of books on making a better business. He's very, he's educated, but he's just reads and always looking for knowledge to learn and to make everything better. He's the master, psychology. You saw when everyone left him to go to Turner, he had to recreate, start recreating everything, but he worked his way up. He started whatever his dad had him doing when he first started to, being on the mic, to interviews, to,
Right.
all the way to, being a character on TV, coming out behind the desk or the announce booth and taking on Stone Cold and, stick it to the man type of thing. So, yeah, dude, I mean, he was, I thank him for the opportunity. It was a boyhood dream for me to compete in WrestleMania. And, man, and I love to see that, Stephanie and Hunter and Shane, really good people, I know Shane's son's at University of Indiana playing football. And I hope
didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's what I've been told. If it's wrong, I'm pretty sure it's University of Indiana. But no,
Yeah.
he's a great people. It is, right?
Yeah, running back.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
he's
Strickland
yeah.
McMahon.
Yeah. So I remember when he was first born. So it's so man, man, it was great working for the McMahon. So I have nothing but nice things to say. So it was good.
Awesome. So where can people find you on social media?
See at Real Charlie Haas on Instagram, Real Charlie Haas on Facebook fan page. I got to get my Haas pod back up now that I'm out of the hospital. I'm in the clear. I got me and Presley and I got to get the Haas pod back up, which we will. And Charlie Haas on Twitter, or X or whatever it's called now. So
all right. Well, I'm going to play an exit song. Thank you guys for watching the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. Stay tight. Don't go anywhere. It'll take 2 seconds to play this. And thank you again. Thank you again, Huge Pop Wrestling fans, for watching. Thank you, Charlie Haas. Thank you, Matt.
Oh, yes. Thank you, guys.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.
Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army. They got the tanks and everything. He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled. Cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle. 6 sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out.